Welcome back, everybody, to the Word Around the Ring podcast. My name is Big Rob, and I'll let my tag partner reintroduce himself.
You can call me King Jess, and we're the only podcast bringing you week to week Gunther Assault coverage. It is finally Mania month, and the rosters are starting to kick it into high gear. From Cena and Cody finally exchanging words to Punk's dreams coming true, we have a few things to discuss this week. So, Robert, what's been the word around the ring?
Full legal name to start the episode is crazy, but it has been a fun couple of last days. We last episode we left off, wanting more out of John Cena and out of this promo exchange or lack thereof between Cody and Cena over the last 2 weeks. And this week in London, England, we finally got that. And I am excited to get into it. I enjoyed this. I've watched it maybe 3 or 4 times back, Cena and Cody going back and forth, having finally being able to exchange words with each other, get some promo battle off here. But of course, Cena did start off the show in London, England this week. He was sporting, of course, a brand new T-shirt for London as well. Thought the show was pretty funny. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure to check it out on www.shop.com. I'm doing a free ad here. And so, of course, Cena comes out to his theme music, very stoic, focused, running down to the ring. He grabs a microphone and he looks out at the crowd, and while he decides and debates on what to say. And right when he finally decided to speak and lift the microphone to his mouth, before he could even get a word off, Cody's music hits and the crowd started to sing and chant for Cody Rhodes. Cody this time around took his sweet ass time to get to the ring. He was hugging babies, shaking hands as his usual politician self. And then, of course, once he finally got to the ring, the crowd did finish off singing his song. And as Cena was looking to get the first word off between this promo exchange, Cody cut him off. He said, "Oh, no, no, no. We've listened to you talk for the last 2 weeks. Allow me to do your job for you. They've been saying you're going to cook me. I've seen the discourse. Where do you want to start? Stardust? Man, that's got to bother you. That's who you're going to be facing in your last WrestleMania, Stardust. What else can you go at? I have an arm tattoo, but it's on my neck." And then the crowd broke into a Cody Rhodes chant. I got booed in the company I created. There's so much. I knew you weren't going to be able to bite on any of this stuff. But John, perhaps I'm struggling. Perhaps I'm struggling with the fact that Superman is really dead. That would bring me to my next point. I don't think that your words have matched your actions. I think for the last 2 weeks, you have lied to this audience. You and I used to ride together. I know you cared about me at one point, but for sure, I know you cared about them. So take this opportunity, John Cena, and tell them why. And then, of course, the crowd broke out into "You sold out" chants. Cena looked around, gathering his thoughts, and he finally responded and told Cody, "I'm not going to reduce myself and punch down to your level just to protect you, Cody Rhodes. I'm also not going to cook you. I'm going to bury you, just like I buried everyone else. They've been saying for years that John Cena buries talent. I don't bury talent. I am talent. I bury mediocrity. I don't give a rat's ass about your lisp or your failures. You've manipulated your way to the top of this business, and your ego outmatches your ability. All you've done is ride the coattails of my success. I've been so great that the WWE can hand the heartbeat of this organization to my chauffeur, a slimy pickpocket who thinks just because he stole the blueprint, he can run the kingdom. There's your why, Cody Rhodes, because you, with that championship belt, disgust me. You sat by my side for years and stole every secret. You need to be undeniable, but you are still underwhelming. I tried to drill into your egotistical skull. You have to be authentic because they can see through phony. You didn't listen and it shows. You're too perfect. You're too polished. You're too rehearsed. You rely on lazy gimmicks like them singing your name over and over again to get by. He then raised his mic to the crowd, and of course, the crowd fell into his trap. They started singing Cody's name again. And he continues to go on by saying, "Actually, you're just like the Pied Piper, because all you've ever done is find a way to make a catchy tune, trick these people into loving mediocrity. Strip away his music and entrance. There's not much to look at besides a thick pinstripe suit, but you can walk me out here in silence and bet your last dollar that I would body you before your first breath. Cody Rhodes doesn't look like me, he doesn't act like me, and he sure as hell doesn't work like me. But Cody Rhodes, also, you don't look like you don't act like you, and you don't work like you because after all these years, you're still afraid to show who you are. So, what do we get instead? Cody gives us a generic mix of every superstar he's ever loved or TV show he's ever watched in some big confused blob, and it makes you look like a 16-year-old taking acting lessons who's still afraid of public speaking. This brother was going crazy, bro. This was the first part of the promo, bro. He was going crazy. But then he continued on by saying, I've worked too damn hard to make that a symbol of mastery, to have it paraded around by a paint by numbers sociopathic Nepo baby who is so into himself he had his wrestling gimmick tattooed for the world to see. It's not where your tattoo is at, Cody. It's what the tattoo is that exposes you to the world who you are. A common fan just like them. So after WrestleMania, it'll be great for you. Go straight to Fanatics and buy yourself a toy belt that they buy. Call yourself their champion because the last real champion is gonna take home that belt forever. And the crowd cheered. And I'm gonna be exposing who you really are. An errand boy that got lucky. There's your why, pal. That this was fantastic. I want to get your thoughts on Cena's first part of this promo because he gave Cody a chance to respond and Cena responded. But want to get your thoughts on what you thought when you first heard this. You know, I know you were yearning and hoping for more out of Cena. Was this everything that you were expecting to kick things off this last episode of Monday Night Raw?
I was definitely asking a lot more from John Cena, especially after last week's promo, just because they definitely did decide to ramp it up last week. So I wanted them to continue it on to this week, and they definitely did not disappoint. John Cena definitely came out there and he had some pretty deep digs at Cody. So I was he had me at attention. I definitely was on the edge of my seat, ready to hear what else he had to say, but I also wanted to hear what Cody had to say. Because if John was just gonna unload on him this way, there was no way that Cody was just gonna stand there and take it.
And Cody did not just stand there and take it. You're right. He had a response. He was ready. He was licking his lips. He responded immediately by telling John, maybe you're right. Maybe I was chosen. But you know who chose me? They chose me. He points to the fans. Can you say the same, John Cena? Or was it one guy in an office who chose you? Who's not here anymore and we don't talk about. And the crowd said, ooh, because they can't talk about that boy Vince McMahon anymore. Um, he continues to say, I know this. I'm Cody Rhodes. I'm a wrestler like my father before me. And if anyone is a company creation, it's you, John Cena, not me. Gosh, everyone is so terrified of you on the mic. I'm not because I know you have more dick in that promo than you do in those jorts. What a softball. Thank you, John, for saying you created all of this. You created me. Here's what you've created, pal. You've created a lot of disenfranchised fans who made it easy for me to pack up and go elsewhere and say, hey, look at me. Don't act like you cleaned up your room before you left and went to Hollywood, John. Don't act like you left the WWE better than when you found it. And while we're at it, there are two of us standing in this ring right now. Between you and I, which one of us sold out to The Rock? See, this is what the fuck I'm talking about. See, Cody said, I gotta bring it up. Because Cena hasn't brought it up. Even to this point, he still hadn't brought it up. But shout out to Cody for bringing this shit up. And he turns his attention back to John. He says, John, you're still my hero, but you're also a piece of shit. Cena just smiled and he picked up the mic and he continued to go on. He said, just like all these people, your brain is filled with feces and not facts. I've worked 100 times harder than you, and never once in all that time was I ever protected from an audience or a superstar, present company included, taking their best shot at me. As a matter of fact, everyone knows every time I step on this canvas, it's a challenge to every arena or every superstar dumb enough to walk down that ramp, take their strongest wing to see if it's worth putting me in the ground. No one has been worthy, so I decided to do it myself. That's why, Cody, I never left. I've always been here because no matter how hard the hill is to climb, no matter what garbage they give me, I find a way to make it great. You had to leave. You had to leave because you realize that your very best, you can't wipe my ass. I make empires for billionaires. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids. See you at WrestleMania, champ. Motherfucker was cooking, bro. That motherfucker was cooking. I was watching this shit and I was so excited. I said, see, this is what the fuck I was waiting on, Cena. You finally showed up. Finally showed up. And then Cody responded before Cena, as Cena tried to walk out of the ring. He said, John, I just want to remind you, in all the time that I've been here, never once has an audience chanted at me, you can't wrestle. I said, oh shit, that's disrespectful. But he makes a point. No one has ever chanted that towards fucking Cody. But see, to be fair to Cena's point, when he was getting those chants, that brother responded with that United States Championship run. You know, I'm here to defend my dog. He did respond well, but Cody using this was hilarious. This shit was well placed. I thought it was fucking funny, and even I was like, damn, he did get his ass. Um, but Cena, you can see Cena get flustered by that comment. He walked back into the ring, and both him and Cody got in a fighting stance. But then, of course, Cena smiled and acted like he was going to walk out of the ring, but went for a cheap shot. But Cody was ready, and he hit Cena with a crossroads. And Cena laid out on the floor like someone had just shot him. Cody stood over Cena while he was laid out, and he raised the championship belt while the music played, and he walked out, and it was over. Cody got the last laugh. He was the one standing on top in this. I would imagine, I think it's their final promo exchange before WrestleMania, which makes me a little nervous. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was fantastic shit on both of these guys' behalf. I want to get your thoughts on it. First question I want to ask you as well, following your whole thoughts on this exchange between the two, is in your opinion, if you had to give this a winner, if this was a basketball game and someone had to win at the end, who would you give this promo battle exchange? Who would you give the win to here between Cena and Cody?
Who won? Well, in my opinion, verbally, Cena won. I think that his digs hit deeper than Cody's, but at the end of the night, Cody was on top. So in a sense, Cody won the altercation.
That's fair. I can agree with that. Cena, in my opinion, it's tough. It's tough because I feel like Cody responded very well. Very rarely do you have someone take on uh uh a fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? A passionate and a motivated John Cena in a promo battle. Because this is Cena's final WrestleMania. He was gonna come out swinging. We were waiting for something besides just attacking the fans. We were waiting what he had to say to Cody. Why did he do what he did at Elimination Chamber? And he finally dove into it. He wants to be the final real champion, so they say. And he let him know. The part that I love the most, I think the part that hurt really deep and why he got the win was always bringing up. They always bring it up, but I think the way Cena brought it up this time around just painted the perfect picture that he didn't have to leave. Not like everyone else. He never left the company, no matter what they gave him, no matter who he had to face, who he was main eventing WrestleMania against. It did not matter. Whatever was given to Cena, he responded, and he did essentially turn it kind of into gold. He never had to leave the company like some people, like a Drew McIntyre, like a Cody Rhodes. And so he's been there. He has been there for 20 years. He's never left. Yes, he's gone on a few vacations, but that brother has always been there. And every time he comes back, it's a pop. The motherfucker don't miss, and he wasn't missing again. Um, but no, I would agree with you there. I think Cena probably got the best out of the two, but I must say Cody did respond well. And in terms of what's left of this promo exchange, I know, or this promo battle between the two as we continue on the road to WrestleMania. There are two more episodes of Monday Night Raw, if I'm not mistaken, two more episodes of SmackDown, none of which John Cena is advertised to be at. Do you think we're gonna get a surprised Cena TV return before Mania, or do you think this is it for him?
Um, well, let's go back a little. I just want to give my full thoughts on everything that went down. Um, I didn't know what I wanted, to be honest, from this week, just because last week was so explosive. Um, but the promo battle between these two, I think, exceeded my expectations far more than whatever I had in mind. Cena's billionaire angle was crushing, but so was Cody's "You Can't Wrestle" statement. Both of those kind of just stab deep. I feel like I enjoy it a lot more when they can dig that deep. Cena "You Can't Wrestle" is something that we haven't heard in a hot minute. And for him to bring that back, for him to give that kind of ammo to the fans is great. But for Cena to go out of his way to not necessarily directly mention AEW and Tony Khan, but just kind of throw the shade that way, I feel like that's a big play too. They definitely got my attention, and this is exactly what I'm asking for leading into Mania. Will we see Cena going forward is the big question, and man, I fucking hope so. I've said it once, and I'll keep saying it until he hears me. If you're gonna give us that retirement tour, then you got to be here for it, especially on the lead up to WrestleMania. I think these are the most important moments, just because Mania is Mania. It's the big event of the year, and this is your last one. You don't want to half-ass it going into your last one. Now, does that mean that I want him, back every week leading up to Mania in front of a crowd? No. You could have him do some backstage segments, maybe even run into some other superstars. Just have him there in order to help progress the storyline because we all know Cody's going to be there. Cody will be there week to week to push the storyline. And I think even with it being John Cena, it's not fair for one person to hold all the momentum going into their match at Mania.
Bro, he's done this shit for 2 years in a row now, bro. 3 years, 3 years. He did this shit against Roman twice, bro, and now Cena, bro. Part timers, and he keeps carrying, and we keep turning on the TV, bro. I'm telling you, this man, Cena had to turn heel because Cody is such a good fucking a great good guy. It's just perfectly written. No, I really did enjoy this. There was a point in this promo where I don't know if you've seen the boys. I don't know if you've seen the boys.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a point in this promo where Cody and Cena were having like we're staring at each other, and Cena was just checking them. He was like, "Look, man, you can't even wipe my ass." And in the episode of the boys where Homelander meets Soldier Boy for the first time, that was his hero growing up. And he was like, "Oh shit, you're the only one that was ever as strong as me." And Soldier Boy was like, "Bro, you're wearing a fucking cape, buddy. Like, you're not strong. You're just a bitch." That's how this felt. John was just telling him, he's like, "Bro, you're not shit. You have to rely on chance, on these weak gimmicks, on this fucking theme song." And I'm not saying I agree with that. I don't think that's true at all. I think Cody, matches like the Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins where he had his torn pec, and the way he puts on fantastic matches, great feuds. He's had a fantastic championship run over the last year. So it's not just a fucking theme song and a gimmick. This brother works his ass off, and he's carried the company well. But Cena's just on a different level, and he's not afraid to let motherfuckers know, and that's why I'm appreciating this because he's just reading the resume. He's just reading the resume. He's like, "Look, this is what I did, and none of you motherfuckers taught me." He's right. No one has ever left the company the way John Cena's never left, and been the main event, the main attraction every single time he comes back. But good shit on all four fronts here. I hope this isn't the last we see of Cena. I think we need to see him at least once or twice more before WrestleMania. And like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a promo. It could be maybe a video segment we get, or just something. But I do want to see him again. I want to keep this heat going because what we got on Monday was great. What we got on Monday was fantastic, and I think him being laid out, it makes me nervous for the outcome of Cody Rhodes. It does make me nervous, but I do think Cena's gonna get some sort of revenge in. Maybe The Rock will finally play a role in getting some revenge in for Cena for what just happened last week over the next 2 weeks. But we're gonna have to wait and see. I am nervous though. I am nervous after this promo, after what we just saw. with Cody Rhodes hitting the crossroads here and standing tall over Cena, do you think that he'll be standing tall at the end of night two?
Is Cody winning has had me stumped, and I'm still kind of stumped on it. I wouldn't call it off of one crossroads, but there's not much more to go off offensively. I'm not picking a winner just yet, but next week, if Cena is a no show, I'll make my first gut prediction. But for right now, I just want to know, what are your early predictions? 'Cause it kind of seems like you were kind of sure about the outcome maybe like a week or two ago, and now you're having some doubts.
Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't sure about it, but I'm just thinking a little bit far ahead. What would I rather see? Would I rather see Cena and Orton at Backlash? Would I rather see Cody and Orton at Backlash? I think like Cody and Orton is a WrestleMania level match. I could see Cena and Orton taking place. And I think Cena's gonna win here. I don't know. I feel like you don't turn the motherfucker heel to lose his first match. I'm still stuck on that. I'm still stuck on that. I can't. It would not make sense. You lost every match when you were a good guy for the last 2 years. You turn heel and you're gonna lose again. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then Cody Rhodes standing tall here, and being able to go to verbally joust with him. I don't know. I'm nervous for Cody. I think Cena. I think I'm picking Cena as of right now. As of April 3rd, I'm picking Cena.
Okay.
I will let you know if I change my mind. I am picking Cena. But I cannot wait for this match. I'm gonna be waiting in anticipation and angst. Night two WrestleMania of 41. That's gonna be fantastic. But speaking of night two, we have to jump into night one, main event of WrestleMania. We finally got a contract signing. Last week we talked about the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins brawl that took place at the end of last week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. And I told you, I said once they point at the sign, it's official. That's the contract. That's the fucking contract. And all three of them motherfuckers pointed at each other and they pointed at the sign. And so this week it was announced that Roman, CM Punk, and Seth would be actually signing a physical contract to announce their triple threat. So of course, Roman is going to close out the show, and so Roman, Punk, and Seth uh, all head out to the ring. But of course, they went in order. Roman got the first entrance, and he was serenaded with OTC chants, and the crowd uncontrollably singing Roman Reigns. And they even let Paul Heyman join in and sing as well. But Seth wasn't having none of that. He came out immediately to his theme music and he made his way to the ring to sign his part of the contract. But of course, he had a mic in hand and he was ready to talk. He looked at Roman. He said, Roman, why are you in such a hurry to leave? We have so much history in this building. He went off and shared a few memories of their Shield days together. And he told them, over the last 12 years, there has been a little bit of love and a whole lot of hate. But dare I say, we accomplished our mission. We accomplished our mission, and you are. And Roman interrupted. He said, we? You keep saying we. Our mission? We died a long time ago. It's only been me. You've been here, but I've done all the work. I made this place what it is today. I took us to the level that we're at today. I'm the one that made us desirable to Netflix. Tell me what you've done. And Seth was pissed. He said, I'll tell you what I've done. It's that mindset that keeps me having to screw you over. And your biggest mistake is not understanding the danger that's right in front of us. You let the biggest snake into our world at the garden, and now I'm left to do what I always do, clean up your mess again. And then Seth immediately grabbed a pen, signed the contract, and that's when CM Punk's music hits. He walks out with 6 security guards behind him and takes his time to get to the ring. And when he finally does, he also has a mic in hand. He raises it and says, I've come here to chew bubblegum and sign a contract, and I'm all out of bubblegum. He then walked over to the table. He started reading through the contract, taking his time. He was looking for something in that contract, and Roman got frustrated and he rushed him. He told him, hey, buddy, this is TV. Uh, uh, he continued to look through the contract, and that's when Roman signaled to Paul. He said, hey, smarten him up. Paul Heyman then walked over to Punk. He gets on his knees and he holds him close. He says, I know what you're looking for, and it's in there. You're closing the show at WrestleMania. You get to live your dreams of all dreams, CM Punk. You are a WrestleMania main eventer. Him and Paul have a emotional moment, and Paul kisses him on the forehead. Roman laughs. He says, "One man's dream is another man's favor." Check. And that's when Seth again was pissed. He loses it. He says, "No, no, no. He doesn't deserve it. This is all your fault." And he points to Roman. And then Punk, with tears in his eyes, he gets up. He says, "Thank you, London. Thank you, London. Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you to the fans, to the WWE Universe who stood by me and chanted my name for 10 long years. Thank you." And Roman interjected. He told him, "There's only one person you should be thanking, and that's me. Your tribal chief is the reason you're in the main event. So go ahead and thank me the right way." CM Punk sarcastically then bent the knee and told Roman, he said, "Thank you, my tribal chief, beholder of the Ulafala, the head of the table, the big dog. Thank you for allowing a kid from Chicago to be graced by your presence. Thank you, my tribal chief. But because of you, I will see you," as he pointed to Seth, "in the main event of WrestleMania. Thank you. That's not the favor that I'm owed." Punk then dropped the mic and the show went dark. And that's how the last episode of Friday Night SmackDown ended. So it's official. Official. We have our two main events for this year's WrestleMania. Night one, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Night two, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. Before we get into the main event talk, what the fuck is the favor that Punk is talking about? Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea now that we're 2 weeks away?
I still don't know what it can be, but I'm starting to kind of lean on the theory that Punk will ask Paulie to be his wise man at Mania. There's been a couple rumors online circulating that um, back in the day, there's a promo where CM Punk's talking to Paulie, and Paulie's telling him that one day, he'll need him and he'll walk him down and all this shit. So people are kind of starting to piece that together and say that maybe the favor is, Paul being his wise man during Mania. I'm leaning more towards that just because that makes sense. But I don't know, dude. There's too much confusion around this subject and too much mystery just because we don't know what kind of pool they're gonna give Paulie. Are they gonna give him the pool of allowing CM Punk to do something bigger, or is it something as simple as just having him walk down the aisle at Mania? Um, I I don't know. I don't know what it could be at this moment. That's like the only thing that sounds plausible to me. I want to get your theories. I want to see what you're guessing at right now because this, just like Cody and Cena, this has me stumped.
I agree with you. I think that it's going to be something along the lines of Paul is going to have to walk out with Punk and not Roman. At WrestleMania and the week before will be all Paul Heyman and CM Punk, and Roman will be left to fend for himself, a tribal chief without a wise man. And I think that's going to be like the ultimate chess move by Punk. I'm not sure if in storyline moving forward past WrestleMania, Paul will continue to be like Punk's advocate, but I would imagine if this is the case, Roman is gonna feel some type of way about Paul regardless, and so he's gonna leave. Have it's gonna be leaving Paul stranded on the island, having to probably stick around Punk, just to have him protect him over Roman. So I think this is how maybe we finally get this breakup that would have been inevitable. Has the Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns relationship run its course? I wouldn't say so. I think there's still room there for their story, their whole bloodline story, and everything he's been involved in. But I would be totally cool and interested to see if Paul Heyman were to link up with CM Punk again and sort of be his advocate, moving forward past post WrestleMania season as well. Um, but want to ask you as well about the whole main event thing. So, Punk, even back in the day, back in his AEW days when he was feuding with MJF, he may have mentioned during a promo telling MJF, you can go ahead and go join the WWE, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Go have fun main eventing night one of four of a buy one get one free extravaganza. And so he was throwing shots at WWE having a 2-night WrestleMania, but now he's main eventing one of them. And it's a pretty big deal. And listen. I think it's great. I'm happy for CM Punk. He's getting his main event, but some people, some AEW fans, are holding this promo very close to their chest, and they're like, "Yo, look at Punk. Look at him being the company guy." And I think this shit is funny. But I want to hear your thoughts on the discourse that you may have seen online, and also the fact that some people are upset that none of the Rumble winners are in a main event this year. Do you think Punk, Roman, and Seth are deserving of this main event spot? Like the feud and the story in general, do you think it's deserving of this specific spot? Or do you think, people may have a point to be upset about it with Punk or with even the treatment of the Royal Rumble winners?
I think the winds of change scare people, and having a mania where your Rumble winners aren't the main event kind of puts people at uneasy, I would say. But they kind of just have to go with it right now in storyline. I would say that the two matches that are gonna main event have more oomph, more, I guess, story behind it that I'm more invested, that the fans are more invested in than the Rumble winners, if I'm being completely honest. Bianca won, and it was supposed to be, a match just against Io, and that's been interjected and possibly is going to be a triple threat. And then we've been singing, the same song for the past, I want to say, fucking year that we've been around, that, Jay just doesn't deserve the spot that he's being given. It's something that unless he won that undeniable spot, he wouldn't be main eventing at all, or if even at the card on a solo match. So I'm happy with the events that we're, or the matches that we're getting for each night. Would have I preferred this to just be Seth and Roman? Yes, but with Punk being interjected in it, it kind of makes it a little bit of a toss up on who would win. Because if you're asking me, if we were getting Roman versus Seth, I would say that Roman's going over in that match. But now with CM Punk in the fray, I'm not sure that Roman has it in the bag as much as, I or even him thought he did. Uh, we said that CM Punk, his grand goal since last year was to get himself to the main event. And shit, the boy did it. He's in that main event. And I'm happy for him. I want to see this main event. I want to see all three of these guys tear each other down, because we've seen them do it before, just not in the capacity of having them to themselves. It's always been with other people. So this is going to be a barn burner of a match for that night. And I'm excited to see who wins, to be honest.
It's gonna be great television, man. I think the motherfucker's tripping. Anyone who thinks that Jay Uso should, and listen. I mean, no disrespect to Gunther, but anyone thinks that Jay Uso and Gunther is main eventing over Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk, you're smoking crack. If you think, if anyone thinks that Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair or Bianca Belair, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley is main eventing over this triple threat, again, smoking crack. All those matches should be solid. Maybe two of the three. I shouldn't have said all. I'm still nervous about that Jay and Gunther match, but two of the three of those matches are gonna be solid. They're gonna be great. They're not gonna draw more money or draw more views to the main event than a Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk match. I promise you that. So I think those people are just upset, and the whole notion that the Royal Rumble winner gets a main event, that was said previously. I don't know if they say it anymore, but even Triple H after the press conference following the Royal Rumble, he told him, he said, "Listen, the best story is going to get the main event, no matter what. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Whatever is the best story, whatever the people care about the most, that's going to close out the show." He said it then. motherfuckers don't care about Jay and Gunther as much as they care about John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And people don't care as much about fucking anything else than they do about Roman, Seth, and CM Punk, pretty much, according to the numbers. So that is the case, and I'm cool with it. I'm happy for Punk. Gonna be dope. I thought, looking back at it and watching that promo a few times, it was nice to see them get emotional. Paul Heyman give him a hug. So much hard work on CM Punk's behalf. Imagine having to leave the company 10 years ago, thinking he would never wrestle again, starting an MMA career. That sucked. Returning to wrestling, um, returning to the rival company, thinking that you would have never gone back to your old home. And then, just the fallout, everything happening with Tony Khan, with the Young Bucks, all drove him back to the WWE. Just the perfect fucking avalanche of things for CM Punk, and it's gonna be dope to see him walk out for the WrestleMania main event, for night one. That crowd, that Las Vegas crowd, better bring the energy for him. I'm sure they'll be singing his song as loud as ever. Because who knows if he'll get another main event spot? Who knows? But I'm glad that he at least got one. Um, but with all that being said, I have to ask you again, on this date, April 3rd, between Roman, Seth, and CM Punk, if you had to pick one, and you have to pick one, who are you picking?
Oh, you locking me in with that. You have to pick one. I would say that this one's a little easier. Just because, like I said, with Punk being interjected, and with all the history between Roman and Seth, I think Roman and Seth are gonna eat each other alive during this match and just kind of give the alley oop to CM Punk. So, for an early prediction, I think I'll probably stick to this until Mania. I think I got Punk winning this. I want to hear your early predictions. I want to see. I want to hear if you actually think will CM Punk cash in that favor during Mania, or is this something that we continue seeing post Mania?
I think he's cashing in that favor before Mania. I think it's going to be the walkout, as I mentioned, with Heyman. I think he'll be his wise man, and Roman will be left alone. I think the winner of this match, I'm gonna stick with him. It's a long shot. It's a fucking underdog, and no one is thinking it's gonna be him, but Seth freaking Rollins. I would love to see him win a big match here. He's been a team player, bro. He's been a team player. When Cody Rhodes returned to WrestleMania, to the WWE at WrestleMania 38, who did he face? He faced Seth Rollins. Who did he beat? He beat Seth Rollins. Then he went on to beat him in a fucking Hell in a Cell with a torn pec, bro. That's crazy, son. He's been a team player. Last year at WrestleMania, what did he do? He lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Drew McIntyre, only for Drew McIntyre to go ahead and lose it to Damian Priest because of a cash in 10 seconds later. That's a team player move. He then, on a fucking torn ACL, showed up night two WrestleMania. Showed up 3 hours later after tearing his ACL, whatever the fuck injury he had. 3 hours later, he showed up, try to hit someone with a chair, try to hit The Rock with a chair, sacrifice his body to cause the ultimate distraction for Roman Reigns, giving Cody the opportunity to win the belt. He's been the ultimate team player, bro. Ultimate team player, and he loses every time in these big matches. He's not on the same level as Finn with the losses. But I'm tired of the disrespect. The first match between CM Punk and Seth, that shit was supposed to go to Seth, dog, and it went to CM Punk. That shit pissed me off. But whatever. I think Seth is gonna get his revenge here. I think they're gonna finally repay the man. It's finally his day, and I think he's gonna somehow, some way walk out of WrestleMania 41 as the winner of this match. It's a long shot. It's a minus 1,000 underdog. But I'm betting on Seth. I think he's going to be the one to walk out here. I wouldn't bet my house on it. I would maybe bet five on it, but I would bet on it. I would bet on it. And I'm excited for it. It's going to be a fun match, and it's going to close out the show. But speaking of main events, main event, Jey Uso and Gunther, that storyline has progressed. We got a very interesting segment, an interesting match between Gunther and Jimmy Uso this last week on Monday Night Raw that I'm sure you're excited to dive into. I know we've been asking for more out of Jay, out of this feud here. And finally this week, after a little backstage confrontation between Jimmy Uso and Gunther last week when Jimmy slapped the shit out of Gunther. We knew we were gonna get a match here in London between these two men, but before the match even started, we got a little backstage segment between Jimmy and Jey Uso, where Jay told his brother to be careful during his match with Gunther because that brother is dangerous. Um, and I must mention, over the last few weeks since Jimmy has interjected himself into this feud, put himself back into his brother's life, joined him on Monday Night Raw, trying to motivate him, I will say, I feel like Jimmy he's gotten this match more over than Jay had for the last 3 weeks before he joined. I will say, I feel like Jimmy's cut a better promo in the last 2 weeks too than any promo Jay's cut of during this feud. He had to tag in his brother. Gunther always said the motherfucker is a tag team wrestler, and he's showing it. He is showing it. But shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy a real brother, bro. Cause I don't know. Jimmy's a great brother. Cause this shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. He's not even gonna be in the match, and he's getting this shit more over. But anyways, Jimmy and Gunther have a match this week. Get into the match itself. It started off with Gunther dominating Jimmy until he reversed a power bomb on the outside of the ring. There was even a spot in this match where Jimmy hit Gunther with a superplex from the top rope, followed by an Uso splash. He went for the pin, but of course, no one thought and everyone knew Gunther was going to be losing to no Jimmy Uso. But following that combination there, Gunther was able to regain control. He began to dominate the majority of the match, hitting Jimmy with chops after chops, followed by a backdrop onto the apron and a clothesline on the outside of the ring. We come back from a commercial break to Gunther continuing to beat on Jimmy. He was throwing him around the ring until Jimmy hit a super kick and he thought he had some momentum, but Gunther immediately countered and hit him with a power bomb, went for a pin, but when he knew he was going to get the 3 count, he picked his head back up before the ref could finish the counts. Gunther then started to toy with Jimmy. He kept hitting him with different finishers after finishers, going for pins and raising his head to continue whipping his ass. And then he choked Jimmy out until the ref had to call the match. After the match was over, Gunther was walking out, but he decided to turn back and put Jimmy back into a chokehold. But of course, that is when Jey Uso came out running to his theme music to save his brother, and he chased Gunther out of the ring. Gunther ran out across the crowd. They cut to commercial break, and when we come back, Jay was carrying his brother out and up the ramp. But that's when Gunther had snuck his way back around the crowd, and out of nowhere, he punched both Jay and Jimmy, sending them both to the floor. Then he found some zip ties, and he zip tied Jay Uso to the bottom rope. And he forced Jay to watch while he continued his rampage on Jimmy Uso. He continued to taunt Jay with the championship belts, toying with him, pulling it away from him, and basically playing keep away. And then Gunther finally saw Jimmy trying to get up, and he hit him with the belt on his head, and Jimmy started bleeding. And he tried to crawl back into the ring, but that's when Gunther grabbed him. He powerbombed him again, rained a few punches and elbows on him, and then he was just starting to rub all of Jimmy's blood all over him, all over his body. And then he continued to choke Jimmy out while Jay was yelling at him, begging him to stop. And during all this, the best part about this for me was during all this, while Gunther was choking out Jimmy and looking at Jey Uso, he called him a pussy. He was like, "You're a pussy, just a big pussy." And that shit was hilarious. And then Adam Pierce, after like 10 minutes of Jimmy Uso getting his shit beat and Jey Uso being zip tied to a fucking rope, finally Adam Pierce decided to come out and be like, "Yo, Gunther, what are you doing?" This shit was hilarious though. I told you last week. I said this motherfucker gonna beat his ass next week, especially after he got slapped. He's gonna beat his ass. He's gonna kill him on live television. That's what I said, and that's what happened, and that's exactly what happened. But I have to ask you, did you enjoy this week's build up for this Jay and Gunther match? And now, following this between Jimmy, Jay, Gunther, are you more invested in this? What are your thoughts on this promo here for this segment?
Gunther went out and did exactly what he needed to do. He won his match and then brutally beat Jimmy up in front of a helpless Jay. I am sick and I am done with a helpless Jay with a doubtful Jay. take this altercation and let it fuel the flames of revenge. Because if you don't get a lick back for your brother, you'll have lost all respect from me. I actually did enjoy the build up this week, though. I think this should and will be the anchor point for a new Jay. I want to see a pissed off Jay on the hunt for Gunther, but not let him get his hands on him immediately. And if that leads into like, backstage segments of, Jay getting some appreciation or some love by people that he's cool with backstage, then I think that'll be great too. But I just need that anger in him. I need him backstage just searching for him. And if that means having Gunther absent from TV next week so that you can tell Jay like, hey, he's not even here, then let that be. Let him go out and take out his frustration on some random ass jobber or another superstar, but let him show that he's getting into that mania mode.
Bro,
They need to let the rage kind of build though. Like you want to let it almost get to the point of like, oh shit, is he turning heel? But not pull that trigger. You want that brutality because after what happened this week, you can't go back. There's no pussyfooting around the situation. He beat the living shit out of your brother and licked his blood. You need to do something about that. If not now, at Mania, Jay.
now he has to do something. And I will say, bro, again, his brother is getting this shit more over than he is. There was points in this shit where he was like, I get he was zip tied and he was reaching out for his brother, but he wasn't selling it enough for me, in my opinion. Like he wasn't crying hard enough for his brother. It wasn't that serious to him. And I was just like, I don't know, bro. He's just really pissing me off as of lately. Maybe I'm being nitpicky about the shit, but I don't know. I feel like if my brother get his ass beat like this in front of me, I don't know. I feel like he was too nonchalant about it. That's just me. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe I'm just being biased. But I just think he needs to step it up a little bit. And listen, I hear you on getting him to like I hear you on festering him up, on getting him angry and motivating him. I hear you, I get that. But that's his whole shtick. That's always what it is. Any fucking feud with Roman, his whole shtick was, "Oh, you beat my brother's ass. You're manipulating my family, so I gotta defend my family." It's never about him. This motherfucker ain't never learned to love himself. He don't ever want to win a championship for himself. I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's always the same shit with him. It's never about Jay. It's always about someone else. I'm tired of this shit. It's the same story with every other feud. And Jimmy saving this shit again. They already told his ass you a tag team wrestler. After this WrestleMania shit, even if Jay wins, just keep this motherfucker away from Gunther. Let him go do something else. This shit's really starting to piss me off. Um, but listen, this was better than any of the other shit they've done the last 3 weeks. Every other fucking
100%.
running and yeet. Like this is way better than that shit. This is way better. So I'm glad we got it, and I'm glad we've progressed. I just like you said, I just need to see a little bit more passion from Jay. Maybe I'm bugged. Maybe I'm bugged. But you know what I was also thinking about when John Cena was talking to was saying, you rely on a chant in your theme music. Motherfucker, he's talking about Jay. He wasn't talking about Cody. He was not talking about Cody. He was talking about Jay Uso. That's the first person that came to my mind. I said, "Oh, he's cutting up a promo on Jay. He's indirectly speaking to Jay Uso." If I hope Jay's listening to this shit because that's who he was talking about. And I hope he's been in the performance center. I hope he's been putting in the work, and I hope we're gonna get a good match out of it. I will say, at the last Saturday night's main event when it was Gunther and Jey Uso, they had a good match, a surprisingly good match. I think I talked about that shit, and I was like, "Whoa, bro! Shout out to Jay. He had a solid ass match." I was genuinely surprised. It's gonna be hard to follow that up, and I hope they do follow it up. But he's shown he can do it. But just over the last 3 weeks, I'm nervous. The motherfucker got me nervous, but I hope it works out for them. I really do. And it's gonna be a great opening match. I will say it's gonna be a fantastic opening match. Um, and you brought it up. You brought it up. Maybe we get a few backstage segments between some of Jey Uso's alliances. Just motivating him. who of those alliances, maybe a Sami Zayn or Roman Reigns, who do you think would be the who would you want to see him interact with backstage? Who would you want him to get a motivational speech from if you had to fantasy book it? Would you want it to come from Roman? Would you want it to come from Sammy? Or would you want it to come from anyone else? Anyone that comes to mind?
I think it's a little out of the possibility, I guess, to have Roman, just because Roman's so tied up. You don't really want to take any focus away from what he's doing, and I don't think they want to kind of showcase Roman right now outside of what his respective storyline is. So I don't think Roman, but I think you're kind of hitting it on the head with someone like a Sami Zayn. Another one that I think is just out of the realm of possibility, but would have been a good one was KO. I know everything going on with them right now; it's not going to happen. But I would like to see some random one, some that you probably didn't even expect. Like maybe have like a McIntyre come out and like look at Jay and be like, "Hey, don't fuck this up." Gunther's the man. You're gonna have to smarten your ass up if you want to win this, and just have those kind of lessons from people that you necessarily wouldn't associate Jay immediately to. Have them kind of prep him up. That's kind of how I would want that going on if we do that at all. Like I said, I would prefer it if he just went back there and he was just slamming doors or breaking shit and just like give me Gunther. But we have a couple weeks to tell, so of story to tell. So I don't see why we can't, give him some pep talks by some of the people that care about him the most.
Yeah. For sure. I think it's gonna be Sami Zayn. I do think that's what it's gonna be, especially because last year he was the one that beat Gunther, so it just fits the story perfectly. He's gonna be like, "Hey, bro, if I could do it, you could do it, bro, because you're my brother." And that's gonna be the whole shtick. And even last year when Sammy was going up, walking out to face Gunther at 40, Kevin Owens met him backstage. He gave him a hug. So I could see them doing something similar to that. And the crowd's gonna pop. The crowd is going to erupt. The crowd is going to erupt. Because if there's a few people that the WWE universe love, Sami Zayn is a part of that select few, and he's been off television for a while. So the next time they see him, if the first time they see Sammy after his match with Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber is him, making an appearance to hug Jey Uso, wish him luck, tell him that he can do it. If that's his first appearance back, it's gonna be a great one. It's gonna be a great pop. It's gonna be a great moment, and I think it'll be. It's a layup. It's a layup for the WWE, and very, very rarely do I feel like Triple H doesn't take those layups. So I do think it's gonna be Sammy. It would have been dope to see Roman, Roman coming up to him, maybe even at WrestleMania in a backstage segment, like, hey, I know I gotta do what I gotta do, but I'm proud of you. Good luck out there. Beat his ass. Something like that would be cool. But like you said, probably not in the realm of possibility, just with the way they like to, keep him in his story and where he's focused at makes sense. But it would be a cool little like Easter egg moment for them, like a MCU cinematic universe. They are fucking cousins. They are fucking cousins, and they're a part of a faction. So it would make sense. Um, because even when we got those interactions when Roman was asking him for help at War Games, those were dope. The crowds were popping for those. We never really got a conclusion on that. They never really kind of hashed everything out. So there's still some things left unsaid there. So we'll have to wait and see. But I definitely think the layup is Sami Zayn. But speaking of Sami Zayn's, his best friend or his former best friend Kevin Owens did make an appearance on this week's Friday Night SmackDown. It was, but before we get into Kevin Owens appearing, the way that night's started was between Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and a Drew McIntyre promo. But it first all kicked off with Cody and Randy Orton. To start the episode, Cody was coming out to cut a promo, welcoming the crowd, thanking them for being there, just getting into his business about WrestleMania. Randy Orton then came out. They had a little bit of an emotional moment. Randy Orton paid his respects to Cody, told him that he was proud of him, that he can't believe that they've made it this far into his career. He's been able to come back to the WWE, etc., etc. and they got into details about what their plans are for this year's WrestleMania. Orton told Cody that he guarantees that at Mania he'll be kicking Kevin Owens' head off of his shoulders, and he knows that Cody is going to beat the living hell out of Cena all up and down the Las Vegas Strip. But Randy did let Cody know that the same way that John Cena is going after his 17th championship, at one point, Randy Orton is going to want to come after that 15th title. But he's not going to be like Cena kicking him in the nuts. He's going to look directly in his eye and tell him that he's coming for that belt. And that's when Drew McIntyre's music hits. And out walked DM Hunk. He interrupted both men and told him, "Isn't this wonderful? A couple of Nepo babies having a love fest." He asked Randy, "What exactly do you have to, or have you done to justify a title match aside from being Randy Orton?" He goes on to tell him to get to the back of the line. And as far as for Cody, you should have listened to me, but you shunned me. And the main event of WrestleMania should have been the UK's only world champion versus Cody Rhodes, but it's not because of the eyeliner wearing Timu Undertaker. So let's talk about what's going to happen. It's going to be Drew McIntyre that takes that title away from Cody Rhodes if he beats John Cena. He then turned his attention to Randy and he told him that he knows his back is hanging by a thread, and if he provokes him, he'll break it. Then he went back to talking to Cody, but Cody wasn't having none of it anymore. He stopped listening. He punched McIntyre directly in the face. Orton then went for an RKO, but McIntyre rolled out. Then it was announced that we were going to get a match between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre later on in the night. That match ended in a loss for Randy Orton after Kevin Owens made an appearance in the middle of this match and distracted Randy Orton, allowing McIntyre to hit his Claymore for the win. After the match, Kevin Owens went for a pile driver on Randy Orton on the announce desk, but Randy broke free. And that's when he went for a pun kick, but KO was able to run out of the arena before he was able to connect. And then later on in that night, as McIntyre was making his way home, Damian Priest caught him by surprise and chokeslammed him into a windshield of a BMW. I guess he didn't like that eyeliner Timu wearing Undertaker line that Drew McIntyre had earlier on in the show. But I thought this was good shit, man. You know, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, having them interact on television, always interesting. Like I said, I mentioned before, at some point we're gonna get Cody and Randy isn't afraid to mention it. He did let him know. He said, "Hey, bro, if you win, I'm gonna come for my title." And Backlash is in St. Louis. I feel like that's gonna be the match. It's gonna be either Cena or Cody. Sorry, Cena or Orton or Cody. I feel like it has to be, especially with it being in St. Louis. Um, but I thought this was good shit. Randy's been on a tear. He's been on a fucking tear for the last couple of weeks cutting promos. Ever since he's made his return, he's been fantastic, out of this world. And then Drew McIntyre being involved. Love me some Drew McIntyre. I wish he was not facing the eyeliner wearing Timu Undertaker, but they're gonna have a solid match. Him getting put through the BMW was crazy. I just keep pointing out that it's a BMW because it was in fact a BMW, and those cars are expensive. Um, what else? There was something else that I'm forgetting to mention. Oh, hilariously, Drew McIntyre, he's the social media warrior. He always has something funny to say. And so after this altercation, after he was thrown into this glass, he hilariously tweeted, glass got in my eye, and yes, it was real glass. And people online, of course, were relaying it to the whole Jack Perry, Real Glass CM Punk situation that ended with CM Punk and Jack Perry fighting at AEW All In. So Drew McIntyre is always great about being a social media warrior. I thought that was fantastic. But all in all, what were your thoughts on this, I guess, these feuds progressing on this last episode of Friday Night SmackDown?
Well, I definitely didn't see the McIntyre Priest progressing through this method, but at least we got something. And at least, even if it is just a minor win, McIntyre finally got a win, so I'm happy about that.
It's a fact.
As for Randy and Cody, I'm with you. I feel like this is something that will inevitably happen, whether it's soon or not. depends on how Mania goes. Will I be opposed to seeing Cena versus Randy instead of Cena versus or Randy versus Cody? No. I feel like these two have equally as much, if not even more, history together. So whatever they decide to do in their build up with the feud going forward, I think will be great. I think all three of these guys are amazing. All I mean, if you want to go for it, all five of these guys are amazing. But the guys that we're talking about for the match, going into Mania and post Mania, you said I think it's Backlash. I'm excited for it. Randy is one of those people that another one like Seth Rollins. If he comes, into that arena, you're gonna cheer. You're gonna do everything you need to do because you're hyped to see him. He never lets your expectations of him be let down. So whether it be Cena, whether it be Cody, I don't care because at the end of the day, it's just more Randy Orton. I guess I am leaning more towards I want to see Randy versus John just because John is on that retirement tour and I want to see him face some of his greatest hits and Randy is one of those greatest hits. So I'll be happy if that's what we get, but if we end up getting Cody versus Randy, that's also going to be a fucking banger because you know that Randy will be the one turning heel and a heel Randy is always a savage Randy.
Yo, Randy would be fantastic, and he's already hearing the voices in his head. He's over here trying to punk kick people. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Cody already got Cena to turn heel. Why not get Randy Orton to turn heel again as well? This motherfucker's Superman. He needs people to face, so I'm all for it. Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest. I did like this. I did like this. Didn't include too much Damian Priest on my TV. And when he was on my TV, it was useful and it was purposeful. And I'm cool with that. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. He didn't do no dumbass shit. He wasn't over here roaring, doing no dumbass shit. He just punched him, chokeslammed him, called it a day. That's what the fuck I'm
The
talking
man
about.
roared once and you can't let that shit
Nah,
go.
bro. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. This is what I like to see. So no, good. I thought it was strong, solid progression on all these on all these stories. At Backlash, if you had to pick between these three matches, Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes, John Cena versus Randy Orton, or Cody Rhodes versus Orton, what would you rather see if you had to pick one of those three matches?
I mean, if you're asking me as a wrestling fan, like I said, I'd rather see John Cena versus Randy just because, again, John Cena is on that retirement tour. I want him to hit all the greatest hits again, and Randy is that one of those greatest hits. So for me, give it to Randy. Let Randy beat the shit out of KO and give him that confidence to go and buck up to a heel John Cena because it won't be the same Randy walking up to the same John. These are two players on two different level playing fields now that are gonna get to meet under these crazy circumstances. I think even Randy was under the assumption that we'd never get a heel John Cena. So I would assume that he's very excited to face a heel John Cena. But only time will tell. I want to know your thoughts. Would you rather see John Cena versus Randy? Would you rather see, Randy versus Cody? Is there even a world where, McIntyre or Priest get interjected into a match with any of these guys in the near future?
I would love to see Randy Orton, a face Randy Orton try to punk kick a heel John Cena. That would be insane for the timeline. That would be quality television. I would love to see that. I think there is a world where Drew McIntyre finds himself in a match against Cody Rhodes for the championship at some point in the very near future. I definitely see that happening, and I think it should happen sooner rather than later. Um, but I don't know if Cody's walking out with the championship here. So I don't know. I don't know. It's really dependent on whoever walks out of night two of WrestleMania. Um, but no, I would love Drew McIntyre versus Cody. That's a great match. That's a SummerSlam main event. Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes is a SummerSlam main event. That's a WrestleMania main event if you ask me. Um, Nah, Cena versus Orton would be great though. St. Louis Backlash. Give me Randy Orton to punk kick Cena for the one time, and somehow, some way, Cena kicks out. There's too much history there, like you said. So I would love to see it. That would be dope. That would be great to see. But jumping into a little bit of a change of pace, we have some exciting news. Someone that you're excited to see. So I'm excited to ask you for your thoughts. But Ray Phoenix, one half of the Lucha Brothers, Penta's brother, his debut
There you go.
is officially announced for this week's SmackDown in Chicago, Illinois, taking place on April 4th. He was announced, they've been playing his vignettes. It was finally announced that he would be making his debut. No word yet on who his opponent will be, but if you had to pick, if you had to set this matchup, who would you set up Ray Phoenix, uh, or who would his first match be up if it were up to you? And who do you think he'll be facing tomorrow on SmackDown?
Only fuck, that's a hard one. I was gonna say only because I feel like it is his first match and he has to win it. I would say put him up against someone smaller, maybe someone that has a history of high flying. Maybe someone like someone from the LWO or the Legado del Fantasma. Even someone like a Tozawa from an Alpha Academy. I feel like these are all great people that he can work with to start. But if you were asking me, hey, it doesn't matter if he wins or lose. I don't see any better fucking time to put him up against the Grande Americano. He's been on on this hot streak, whether it's Chad or not. He's been on this hot
That
streak,
would actually be good.
he's been taking down luchadors. So why not, shock the world and bring Ray in and not necessarily have him win? Just feed him to the Americano and then have that be
Yo,
like a feud for a bit, where Ray Phoenix ends up getting his lick back by unmasking the Americano, and that's how we get the big reveal. I just I don't think that we necessarily
that's good.
need to have him win. And if we aren't going to have him win, I feel like that's a better use of not only the Grand Americano, but of bringing Ray Phoenix in. What I don't want is what you want, and that's for them to instantly stick him with Penta. Just because I feel like Penta is on a hot streak on his own right now. Let him simmer down before you just go and you do the Tony Khan thing of putting them in a tag team and never allowing them to wrestle solo, only to let them go later. So those are my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. Would you love to see him against the Great Americano on the first night and potentially
Bro,
even
that
lose to
sounded
him?
fantastic. I love
Or do
that.
you have someone in mind already that you think that he should go up against?
I have someone in mind, but I love your idea. If that happens tomorrow, that would be awesome. If fucking Chad Gable shows up tomorrow and he beats Ray Phoenix in his debut match, that would be great. I would fucking forgive everything they've done with Chad Gable if they let him do that. If he goes to work tomorrow and he shows up to be Ray Phoenix in his debut match, following Guantanamo Bay, bro, in his debut match, that would be hilarious. I would absolutely love that. And there's no fucking way they allow that shit to happen. There's no way
Nah.
Ray Phoenix is okaying that shit. Fuck no. Um, but that's fantastic. I would love it. I think he has to listen. Don't send Carmelo Hayes out there just to lose, but Carmelo Hayes would give him a good match. Carmelo would be a fantastic match. But if we're sending him out to lose, don't do it because I'm
It's
tired of that
true.
shit, man. I fuck with Carmelo, but I think Carmelo would be a great first match for him. Who else would be fantastic? Listen, if they want to cook, if they want to put my dog back on TV, want to give him something meaningful to do, and if you want to give us a real toss up, give me Andrade. Give me Ray Phoenix versus
Ooh.
Andrade tomorrow night in a real toss up. That would be dope. Because then I really don't know who's going to win that match. And I'm cool with either losing, but I don't foresee Phoenix losing here. I don't think there's a fucking chance he loses. Especially the way they fucking brought up his brother. And when he made his debut, fuck no. Um, but I would love to see Andrade. As a Carmelo Hayes fan, I don't want to see it because he's gonna lose, but he would give him a good match. But by WrestleMania, I'm gonna need to see Penta, and and his brother competing for
By
the tag titles
WrestleMania.
by WrestleMania. I need them to cut that
I
shit out.
hate you.
You
I
know,
hate you because you're
cut
gonna
that
talk
shit
that shit
out.
into existence, and I fucking hate that shit.
Bro, team up, bro. Them
Stop.
versus the Street Profits. Them
Yeah,
versus the Street Profits. That's gonna be a banger
that'll
at WrestleMania
come.
41, bro. That's gonna be sick. I'm telling you. I'm telling
At
you. We already
41,
got Rey
holy
Mysterio.
shit! You want to streamline that shit?
Bro, just team them up, bro. Team them up. But nah, I think realistically, I can see them in a tag match at SummerSlam. Not necessarily like they're a tag team per se. They're the majority of their work is tag team work. No, but I can see them being in a tag team match at SummerSlam. And that would be, I think that's okay. Would you? SummerSlam's feasible. You can't be upset about SummerSlam. By then, I feel like the hype would have died down just a little bit. Am I right or wrong? Would you disagree or agree?
I would say, will the hype die down by then? Maybe, but I would say that you're in a better position to, do something like that. Maybe even if it's something where, like I said, Ray Phoenix gets fucked over somewhere, and now he has to call upon his brother to, and get his revenge. I'm fine with that. I don't want them to pull this trigger before WrestleMania because I feel like that's just gonna, stop any momentum that Penta had as a solo going forward. And then we would just get stuck in the same loop of them always tagging together. And Penta has been very vocal about, hey, when my brother comes in, don't expect us to just instantly, be together. I'm doing my own thing and I kind of want to do my own thing. So let's do that. And then later
Yeah,
we can get
whatever,
the
buddy.
brothers together. But I know that you're very adamant about putting them together. I don't want that this soon, but only time will tell. Maybe you're, Rob Stradamusing this thing and you're gonna pull some shit out of your ass and in 2 weeks we'll see them, you know,
Bro, I
pumping up
swear to God.
a storyline to go after the tag belts. I would absolutely hate that, but at the same time, I guess it's more pent on TV, so I can't be that man.
I swear to God, WrestleMania or Raw after WrestleMania, they're gonna be a tag team, bro. Nah, don't even don't get your hopes up, brother. I'm just letting you know that motherfucker Triple H love putting them together, bro. He put the Latinos together, bro. He put
He put
fucking all the
the
black people together, bro. Come on, he got the Asians together over there, Damage Control. Stop playing, bro. He's gonna put them together. This is what he does, and that's okay. It's gonna work out this time, and it's gonna be great because they
this
got a
time.
solid tag team division. They got a solid tag team division right now. You at the Lucha Brothers, they got some real shit cooking up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Give them to the Raw after Mania. I said SummerSlam. I take that back. I'm giving them to the Raw after Mania. But tomorrow
Disrespectful.
night's debut is gonna be fun. I have to ask you. You're more familiar with their game. Who of the two brothers is there one whose matches you prefer, whose style you prefer? One do you think that's better than the other? If you had to pick one.
I would say I just want to, I guess, preface this by saying they're both equally as great. They're more of the spot monkey, mentality or work rate. I personally love Penta a little bit more just because he is he is that kind of spot monkey with the hard hit, as opposed to Ray Phoenix is more of a spot monkey with the speed. So personally, I would say that I enjoy Penta more, but Ray Phoenix isn't something to squawk at either. I mean, this kid, if you give this kid any point within the next year of Cage, you better believe he's doing some crazy shit off of
Mm. All right, I'm excited to see what he got. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do together in a few months.
that. You're
But
such an asshole.
I'm excited. Does Penta has an emote? Does Ray Phoenix have an emote? Does he come in with a built-in emote?
Not that I know of, no.
All right. Because Penta got the emote. I'm it's a sick emote. He got a good one. So I was just curious to see if Ray Phoenix had one as well. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do together, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Phoenix does in his debut match. But speaking of luchadors, and already on the topic of his brother and his tag team partner, Penta had his own tag team partner this week with Braun Breaker as they were taking on Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio in a tag match following last week's shenanigans between Braun Breaker, Penta, and the Judgment Day. Match itself was a solid match, nothing too crazy. There was a fantastic spot though that I absolutely loved from Braun Breaker, where Dom and Finn tried to put him in a suplex together, but he was able to reverse it and hit him with a double suplex on both of them instead. I thought that was great. It got a audible "fuck yeah" out of me. I love Braun Breaker. He's fantastic, bro. He's like the last real wrestler left, bro. Like just the absolute fucking like just meathead, bro. Just fucking just a wrestler, bro. Him and Drew McIntyre, just those two motherfuckers, bro. Just the last real pieces of wrestlers left, bro. Like Ultimate Warrior type figures, just swole motherfuckers that know how to just do dumb shit. Those two motherfuckers. But Drew McIntyre is a lot more intelligent than that. Braun Breaker, though, just he's just the last real wrestler left, in my opinion. But this match ended after Dominic Mysterio pushed Penta into Finn Balor, causing Braun Breaker to connect his spear on Penta instead of Finn. That's when Balor took advantage. He sent Braun out of the ring. Dom followed suit by kicking him as well. And that's when Finn climbed up to the top of the rope, hit a coup de grace on Penta for the win and the pin. And that was that. And after the match was over, there was a backstage segment with Finn Balor and the rest of the Judgment Day where he was talking to Liv Morgan. He was basically telling her, like, hey, Liv, did you go see what happened on TV? I got the pin. I beat Penta. You know what? Everything is so good now. We're going to fix everything. I'm going to go talk to Adam Pearce. I'm going to go get an opportunity for the Intercontinental Championship because I won this tag match and I deserve it. And Liv was smiling, looking at him saying, yeah, go do your thing, Finn. And then as soon as Finn left, Liv's smile turned into a frown. She looked at Dominic Mysterio and she said, hey, did you hear that? Finn didn't give you any credit. And you know what? I'm going to go talk to Pierce on your behalf. And so they're already cooking up. They're already, plotting on each other. And then in another backstage segment, Kathy Kelly was interviewing Braun Breaker and she was asking him what had happened earlier in the night. But before Braun could even respond, Penta walked up cursing him out for what happened earlier, called him stupid, to which Braun didn't respond too kindly to. And it seems like what we discussed last week is where we're headed. All these guys are still, intertwined with one another. And I think we're headed to a fatal four way. With the progression of this feud and where we're heading to WrestleMania, are you still confident in your boy Penta walking away with the Intercontinental Championship?
This feud or whatever you want to call it, it seems like it's coming together last minute, but that doesn't make it any less exciting. All the men in this match excel in the WWE in one way or another, so this definitely will be a showstopper at Mania. As a fan of wrestling, yeah, I want Penta to win. Um, it would be sick, and it would be a great kickoff for his post Mania career. But if we're talking about seeing the storyline through, I'd say it's still too soon to call. Also, Finn's in this match, exactly like McIntyre, has been on a losing streak, and he needs a win. His contract is also coming up soon. Do we really want to give him any reason to go elsewhere? On the other side, though, why have Braun lose? It's not like he hasn't held that belt well or shown us that he can't be a competent champion. Honestly, the only two people I'd be okay losing this match is Dom and Penta, just because I feel like they'll be fine if they lose or win. Um, I want to know your thoughts though. Do you have a favorite going in? Do you think Finn will resign, or do you think once his contract is up, he'll go elsewhere?
Nah, bro. Finn's a WWE lifer, bro. He knows better. He knows better, bro. He's staying in the big leagues. I'm not worried about that at all. Um, in terms of who's winning this match, yeah, like I said last week, bro, Dominic is winning this fucking match. I'm telling you that shit right now, bro. He taking this shit. WrestleMania 41, Dom is walking out as the Intercontinental Champ. He's helped everybody else win a championship. I think it's about time he wins one on the main roster. He carried that little North American belt for a little bit. But I think he's gonna get this little IC belt. If Jay Uso win the IC belt, bitch, Dominic Mysterio better win an Intercontinental Championship belt too. And it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be an easy toss up because it's not gonna be like it's a fatal four way, so anyone can eat the pin. Most likely, it's gonna be Pin Balor. He's gonna take that one, and it's gonna be okay. Your boy Penta, he's got, like I said, Raw after Mania, he's gonna have to go team up with his brother, so he's not gonna get the win here. They got bigger plans for him. Braun, he's gonna lose the belt unfortunately here, but new year, new him. He can go chase the world. If Jey Uso wins the World Heavyweight Championship belt off of Gunther, bitch. Next feud, give me Braun to take that shit off next month immediately. Shit, give me Braun to win that shit Raw after Mania. I would not be opposed. I would not be opposed. But I got Dominic Mysterio winning here. I know that that's far fetched for you. I know that's far fetched for you. In no world, do you think Dom is walking out as a champion here? Do you think he has a slight chance in any case?
In this match, fuck, just because of the talent that's in it, if he wins, it would be a crazy win. So I would say that if you were asking me, I'd say he'd probably have like a 10% chance of winning this. Um, I would like to see it just because, like I said, it would be a crazy win over all these people. It'd definitely give him, you know, a lot of runway to talk his shit post this match. But do I think he wins it at Mania? Personally, I don't think so. Would it be cool though? Yeah, it'd be cool.
I It's gonna happen, and when it happens, don't be surprised. You heard it here first. But speaking of motherfuckers with long hair, there's two other motherfuckers with long hair. Logan Paul and AJ Styles. We get some progression in what is the supposed feud here. In another exchange between these two. We didn't get anything too out of the ordinary, anything too crazy, but we got a bit of a promo exchange between AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Logan, of course, cuts his whole shtick, tells the people of London they don't deserve him. He has more money than him, etc., etc. AJ comes out. He tells Logan, don't let his mouth cash checks that his ass can't cash. Logan tried to then catch AJ by surprise and kind of sneak attack him, but AJ was prepared until Logan hit a sneaky move and hits AJ's nuts with the ropes. And he then hit him with his new finisher called the Pulverizer. This was a fantastic move. I don't know if AJ just sold this shit well or what, but this shit was dope. I don't even know how to explain it really, but I know you saw it. Wanted to get your thoughts on Logan's new finisher. Did you like that move, or are you excited to see it moving forward, and that he added that to his game?
The finisher's looking tough. I'm not gonna lie. The finisher looked fucking solid when he did it, and I'm glad that it came off that well. On, I guess it would be the first time that they've kind of, prominently showed this move. It was kind of, if I remember it right, it was kind of like a suplex into like a DDT. But this shit looked nasty, and I know that AJ being the professional he is probably sold the shit out of it and made it very easy for Logan Paul to do this, but Logan pulled it off, and it looked fucking nasty. So I hope that we see this against some of the bigger guys, and it's not just something he does some against the smaller guys, because this on a bigger opponent is gonna look devastating.
He do this shit to Damian Priest, bro, off rip. That's crazy. But nah, it's a crazy move. It's a crazy move. I think AJ's just so great at his job, and he sold that shit extremely well. But it seems like we're headed to a singles match. I mean, that is clearly we're gonna be headed. Logan and AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Do you think Logan Paul will take the win here, or do you think AJ will walk away with a win in one of his last few WrestleMania appearances that we have left?
If Logan can lock in and really drive the hype up for this match, then I think he can still win at Mania. But if it's going to be more of the same, then give it to AJ so he can kick off his personal retirement tour off on a good note. If those are still his plans. Logan's missing a huge moment if he doesn't start kicking or taking this seriously, because AJ is that kind of competitor that you need to take seriously, especially if you're being put up against him at a event like Mania. You need to kick it up. And I feel like you and me have been saying this for the past couple of weeks with Logan Paul. It's been kind of still. It's just the same shit. He's kind of, being this, I don't know, in a sense, a bratty teenager. And I want him to more dig into a scummy, sleazy heel that I know he can pull off, as opposed to just going for these cheap digs or, these kind of cornball responses back. It's AJ Styles. There's plenty there for you to work with. Dig, dude. Do some research. Come back at AJ with some nasty personal digs, and let's get this shit going. Because that's the only way I see Logan Paul winning at Mania is if he starts taking the shit seriously.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he needs some more substance within his promos because it's the same shtick every time. You know, he's always attacking the crowd, and it's never like a clever attack. It's always a "I'm just better than you. I have more money than you," and that's pretty much it. And it's never really towards any other opponent or wrestler as well. And that's why it's not like you ever say he has great feuds. He has fantastic matches. He has fantastic matches. But feuds, I wouldn't say he's had a great feud. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, but even with promo exchanges as well, he's not known for that. I think he has opportunity to grow if he just adds substance to his promos. And I think he's missing that, like you mentioned it. And once he does, that's just gonna unlock something else. Cause he's already so great in the ring. Like the motherfucker can work his ass off. And he's nice. He's nice. He's talented. He's just naturally talented and gifted at this shit. So if feel like he adds that layer to his promos, changes it up a little bit, as you mentioned, takes it a little bit more seriously, it's gonna add another layer to his character, his development. And if he wants to get into that world title picture, think that'll be the best way to go about it because he has the talent to do so. In terms of the winner of this match, this one's tough. It's gonna be a sick match. I think it's gonna be really good. AJ and LA Knight had a fantastic fucking match last WrestleMania, um, and I think AJ is gonna continue to do the same here. Logan had a great triple threat last year as well. He had a great match against Seth the year. Was that the year? Yep, the year before that. I don't foresee them not having a good match here, but I think Logan lost last year. I think Logan's gonna win this year. I will say, I think unfortunately for AJ Styles, I think Logan is going to win. And I think they're gonna put on a great match. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Um, but no, I'm excited for that. AJ, you know, you mentioned his retirement tour. I'd love to see him show up in TNA for the one time. They got a partnership. That'd be sick. They've already sent Joe Henry up to the WWE for, a cameo appearance, like a Make a Wish Foundation type appearance.
That's
I think they could do the
disrespectful.
same. I think they could do the same for AJ Styles. Send him back to the G League for one time,
The
for a
G
one-off
League.
opportunity,
You're so
and
disrespectful, dog.
and 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 yeah, I think that'd be sick. But no, I'm looking forward to this match. It's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be a good match. Moving on to the last match that we wanted to discuss here: Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky in this Monday Night Raw main event for the Women World Championship. They also had a special guest referee, Bianca Belair. So we knew this match had one goal in mind, and that is to somehow, some way, get us to agree to buy into a triple threat match between Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair. But to start this match, we actually had a pretty solid start between Rhea and Io. Both women were getting some offense in, but Bianca would break them apart here and there when one or the other would get close to a 5 count in the corner or on the rope. Bianca did get physical a few times, shoving both Io Sky and Rhea Ripley to try and control the match. But of course, as the match went on, Bianca would get knocked out of the ring by Rhea Ripley, and that's when Rhea would hit Io with her riptide. She would get a 10 count according to the London crowd, but Bianca was nowhere to be found to count the pin. So Rhea was frustrated, and finally Bianca was able to work her way back into the ring. She went for the pin count, but then Io had already regrouped, and she kicked out at 2. Rhea got upset, and she kept punching down on Io while she was on the ropes, so Bianca counted to 5, broke it up, and Rhea got frustrated, and she just flat out punched the ref. She punched Bianca in her face. Io then climbed to the top of the rope and went for her missile drop kick on Rhea, but Rhea moved and Io accidentally connected with Bianca instead and sent her out of the ring. And that's when Bianca was done. She was sick and tired of the disrespect. She said, "You know what? I'm calling it." She called the match. It was over, ended in a double disqualification. Nobody won. Bianca was frustrated. She then went back into the ring, tried to get her revenge, try to fight with Rhea. but Rhea was able to get the best of both her and Io Sky, hitting them both with multiple riptides. And the way the show ended was with her raising the women's world heavyweight championship belt over the two women, and that is what the closing shot was on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. What did you think about the way that that match ended with the double disqualification and the execution of that spot? Did you enjoy that?
This was a mess, but I guess Bianca did warn us that she had no experience refing. I'm with you. This all felt very sloppy and anticlimactic. If it was going to be a double disqualification, why not go big and make the ruling make sense? Bianca calling it felt more like she just wanted it over so she could leave and not because it actually deserved a disqualification. We've seen a lot of refs recently use a ref discretion to call matches, and I feel like that's something that should have been used here, and it just wasn't. The trip was what they wanted to get to, and this might be what gets them there. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know. Like again, this is another one where I'd rather just see Io versus Bianca, especially because I feel personally I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like Io deserves to be in this main event, deserves to hold that belt. But Bianca also deserves her comeuppance because of that bullshit that they pulled off with Becky Lynch a couple years back. So this, becoming a triple threat, not my favorite thing, especially since I necessarily wouldn't say that Rhea in the past couple months has been, great, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just feel like she's been in the spotlight so much that taking a step back and letting others shine, or even just chasing a different type of storyline yourself, can do wonders. You don't always, just because you're one of those top people, doesn't mean you always have to be chasing a belt. Look at the wonders that it's been doing for Roman, and Roman's not even worried. He hasn't even probably said Cody's name in the past couple months. So it just goes to show that, the belt isn't always the end all be all. And I don't necessarily need Rhea Ripley to be in this match. Will she be in this match? More than likely, this is what we're gonna fucking get announced in the next couple weeks, if not this week. But honestly, I'd rather see Rhea just go off and do something else. Shit, I'd rather see Rhea go off, not be in the title contention, not at least a main title, and just go tag with someone. Fucking chase the tag belts. Do something different. Do something that we haven't seen you do, because at this point, I feel like we're just seeing repeats of everything we've seen you do before.
Bro, she's that's another one. When John Cena was talking about, yo, they spamming the theme music. They be spamming that "This Is My Brutality" fucking that pop, bro. They be spamming that pop, bro. But I rock with Rhea. I'm not mad that she's a part of the triple threat. I just wish it would have like they could have done a better about of they could have done a better job of trying to paint her in a better light rather than being entitled. Because this is how she's coming off, as it is entitled. Like, oh, I deserve to be in this match because essentially she fucked up. No one told her to get in Bianca's face when Bianca was cheering for Io, and that's when she cost herself the match. She got distracted. That's on her. That's childish shit. You did that. No one told you to do that. And then she gonna go blame Bianca. Why are you out in that match? Blah blah blah. Bro, why aren't you focused on your match? The fans always talking shit to you. You don't ever care about what they saying, who they cheering for. Why the fuck you worried about Bianca and who she cheering for? So you being entitled, she coming off as entitled. So I think they would have, if they would have tried to switch it up somehow, some way, find a way to plug her into this match in a different light, it would have done it a little bit more justice. But it is what it is. The match itself, it's going to be great. Um, but I thought the execution of the ending of this, the whole spot was a little bit sloppy. You already brought it up, the double disqualification. It just felt anticlimactic. It did feel like Bianca was just trying to leave, get out of there. But all in all, it is what it is. Rhea stood on top. This is going to be a triple threat. That's where we're headed. I hope that Bianca wins this match. I hope and I think that she wins this match. I love Io Sky, and she's deserving of a championship reign. She's had a short one. Not every championship reign has to be long. Um, but I wouldn't be opposed to Bianca Belair winning at WrestleMania. It sounds like neither you and I have Rhea winning here. Uh, are you sticking with your girl Io Sky here, or do you see do you see yourself picking Bianca as we head closer and closer to WrestleMania?
Again, I think both of these females are very deserving of this position, of this match, of the opportunity to win this belt. But I am gonna be a little biased and just say that out of the work rate that she's put in, out of the representation she's had for WWE over the past couple years, going overseas, and just taking every opportunity she can that is given to her to be on TV, whether that be win or lose, I think that Io deserves this. I feel like it would be more interesting if she won and then we got the return of a couple other of her um, companions that were in her stable, and maybe we kick something off there. But I also wouldn't be mad at Bianca just because, like I said, she deserves a little bit of respect after the shit that they tried to pull on her, or that they did pull on her with Becky Lynch a couple years ago, which still doesn't sit right to me. I don't think it ever will sit right to me. But she's someone that's very deserving of this opportunity as well. So I don't think I'd be mad if Bianca won. I think I would also, pop and cheer if she wins. But I would pop and cheer a little bit more if Io was the one walking out that night.
Whoever wins will be winners on that night. If you rooting for Io Sky, I'm rooting for Bianca. If somehow, some way, Rhea wins that match, that'd be insane. But I
I'd be
don't think
mad.
that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that is going to be the case at all. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens on this week's Friday Night SmackDown. I'm looking forward mostly to this Ray Phoenix debut. Gonna be looking forward to seeing who he faces and what and how they choose to debut him on this week's episode. It's gonna be interesting. We'll see if it's Andrade. Maybe it's El Grande Americano, as you said. That would be top notch. I would absolutely love that if he debuts. That would be fucking fantastic. But with that being said, that concludes this week's episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast. And this week's episode was brought to you by Pizza Neo, your local Eastside Las Vegas pizza pop up shop. We'll have more information on them coming soon on next week's episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast. But thank you so much, all, for listening to this week's episode. If you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us across all of our social media platforms, including Instagram, X, and TikTok at the Word Around the Ring podcast. We'll see you all next week. Until then, have a good night.